Between 35 and 40, gusting as high as 55. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on Super Talk 1270. Right now, 30.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 studio, this is Extension Connection.
Good morning and welcome to the Extension Connection. Today is, of course, Wednesday with the Extension Connection, and you have the Morton County Extension Service staff with you. This is Carla Mickle, and joining me today is Vanessa Hoynes, Family Consumer Science, and Jackie Buckley will be here shortly, Ag and Natural Resources. And we have some fun topics to talk to you about. Of course, a week away from Thanksgiving, so I'm assuming we'll talk a lot about Turkey Day.
Yeah, I got some turkey tips.
Okay, good deal. And we've got some 4-H information for everyone. As well as information. Jackie, I know, has a stewardship workshop tomorrow. She, I'm sure, is going to visit with everyone about, among many other things that we have to share with you. So the first is last night, we had such a good time. We had a 4-H volunteer leader training out in New Salem, and it turned out great. We had 30 folks from across Southwest North Dakota there, all the way from Linton and Beulah, and of course the Bismarck-Mandan area. There were some from Grant County, surrounded by Carson.
And Mott.
And Mott, yes. So we had a little bit of everywhere. And the folks from the Center for 4-H came out, and Vanessa and I did some presenting as well. And a great night to share some information on 4-H and the different activities that 4-H has to offer youth, and also provide some ideas on different project areas that we have. So I know you talked about clothing. You were burning stuff up.
Yeah, I know. We were trying to burn the place down. Yeah, it was a 4-H leader luau. So it was, all about the Hawaiian Islands, and kind of a fun theme for the middle of November. But I talked about clothing review. We have in 4-H we have 3 different events relating to clothing and textiles, and one of them is sew and show, which the kids get a chance to sew a garment and then wear it and talk about their garment with the judges. And then we also have buy and show, where they get a chance to purchase a garment, and it can be something where they purchase at a retail store, but even more fun, it can be something that they find at a secondhand store, or maybe they get it on the clearance rack, or those kinds of things. So it's a chance for them to really find that great bargain. And then decorate your duds is the third one, and that's a chance, just like it sounds like, a chance for them to decorate, refurbish, do something, add something new to something that they either purchase or have had.
Yeah, everything is old and new again in that one, really. So
yes,
and
and the burning part.
Yes,
we were doing an experiment where showing the leaders how they can do an activity with their kids to help them learn a little bit more about the different types of fibers and how they react, and how that by doing a burn test where we burn different swatches of fabrics, you can actually be a sleuth and kind of figure out what kind of fabric it is based on how it reacts to a flame. If it burns quickly, if it burns slowly, if it, and so on, and how that relates to how you might use that fabric also.
Cool. Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. I'm going to have to take that in here before all the sessions, of course, completed. We have 2 more events scheduled here next week throughout the state. So, and I talked about outdoor skills, and we talked about what makes a great poster, a great educational display. And, a lot of times when we're judging projects like that, we see a poster and it has a lot of handwriting and it's really hard to read, or the print is really small if you've typed it up on your computer and printed it off. And it's just really white on white is another thing we discussed. And so we discussed what makes a good poster and what makes a bad poster. If you add pictures, different elements to it, besides just having that drab white board with all the white writing. And then we made solar pizza box ovens, and I thought everyone had a really good time. I'm hoping so. And the big question is do these pizza box ovens work? Well, I got the idea from the U.S. Department of Energy. And so I'm thinking if the U.S. Department of Energy endorses this project, it's got to work. It's a pizza box.
They do work.
Do? Okay,
yeah, they
good.
do work, because I know in Boy Scouts they use them.
Yeah.
Yep. So they definitely work. So that's kind of fun.
So, but a lot of great information. We had someone from the 4-H Foundation there. Dean Ockery, of course, he very knowledgeable, and he talked about parliamentary procedure. He actually had a fun Jeopardy game. I don't know if you caught it or not, but they had a Jeopardy game set up, and there was 3 extension agents there, and so Rick Schmidt, Michelle Efforts, and Dina Kemet, and then some other folks, volunteers with 4-H, and they were trying to answer these questions, and it was so fun to watch. I'm thinking we have to play it sometime, but it was on the computer, and they were going through and they were playing and learning all about parliamentary procedure, and a really neat activity. I think it'd be fun to do with kids. So I learned a lot. It was
Who was the big winner?
I'm not sure. I walked away and had to go and check out then the wood burning activity that they were doing over in the FFA room. So, but great experience, really opportunity for some networking. And we have 2 more events, 4-H volunteer events coming up. The next one is going to be in Devil's Lake, and that is Monday. That one starts at 5:30. And the next one, or the last one for the year, is Tuesday. And that one will start at 6 o'clock. And that is at the Bag Bonanza Farm. Did I say that right? In Wahpeton. So, So I'm very excited to head down to Wahpeton and check that out.
So if folks want to go on a road trip, they would be welcome to go to either of those.
Yep. There is a registration fee of $6. We feed you. And you walk away with a lot of different ideas with 4-H and just a better understanding from everything from clothing review, like what Vanessa discussed, to the 4-H Foundation, fundraising ideas, 4-H hippology, a lot of different things that 4-H really encompasses, and also some speed programming. We did that. Everyone had 3 minutes at a table. We had 6 different tables set up, and we talked about national trips that kids can get involved with, 4-H members, and also the Clover Bud Project. I know that's something that you did to discuss projects that the ages 5 to 7 can participate in before they become regular 4-H members. So great night. Thank you very much to everyone who attended. And if you would like information on Devil's Lake or Wahpeton, feel free to call our office, 667-3340. And with that, Jim just signaled we were close to a break, so we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Right now, 30.
Super Talk 1270. Listen to high school sports action and live Bobcats hockey online at supertalk1270.com.
Talked about yesterday. Welcome back to the Extension Connection. Again, you have the Morton County Extension staff joining you today: Jackie Buckley, Vanessa Hoynes, and myself, Carla Mickle. And I have one more 4-H matter to visit with everyone about, and then we'll pass it along and talk some turkey. Let's see. This coming weekend is a pretty exciting weekend for 4-H. We have North Dakota 4-H Ambassador selections. And this year it's going to be held up at 4-H camp, since we can be there later. How fun. Usually that event is actually hosted in Morton County at the Morton County Courthouse. And so it'll be really different not having it in our area. But the kids 16 through 22 are eligible to be North Dakota 4-H ambassadors. And so there are quite a few applicants, it sounds like. So 16-year-olds who will be going through the process of ambassador selections. There is an interview you have, very professional. You answer questions about what your experiences are like in North Dakota 4-H, as well as how you can contribute to North Dakota 4-H and really be that person who helps market and that PR person. So some great opportunities. And then someone who is going to be involved and be able to travel around the state and really promote 4-H. And so some great opportunities with North Dakota 4-H ambassadors to become leaders in our state and, potentially leaders in the future. So, they might decide after they age out of a 4-H ambassador to run for politics, be our next senator or representative or governor of North Dakota. Anything is possible. And so some great opportunities with the North Dakota 4-H ambassadors. And that event starts Friday and it ends on Sunday. And we in the past have had someone go up and help judge the interview that they have. And I don't think this year we have anyone going because it's not in our neck of the woods anymore. So, but very exciting. They work with the North Dakota State Fair. They help organize the Extension Youth Conference, which is for youth 14 and older to attend, or 13 and older, to attend Extension Youth Conference in Fargo at NDSU in June. They also volunteer, attend, and help plan retreats. And they do traveling and really get to meet some lifelong friends. I know, Vanessa, you were a 4-H ambassador, and we visit quite often. And you said that person used to be a 4-H ambassador. So I know a lot of connections out there that you have through the 4-H ambassador program.
And I think that's just the fun thing about 4-H in general, is meeting those folks not only from across the state, but then also from across the United States, because a lot of our kids get a chance to attend national events too when they make friends that way too. But yes, a great way to meet friends.
Yep. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Vanessa. Of course, next week is Thanksgiving, and our office is always really busy with phone calls.
Yes.
On turkey.
On turkeys.
Yes.
And hopefully everybody is at least thinking about their turkey or has been planning ahead. That's the one thing. Thanksgiving probably requires us to do more planning ahead than most of the other holidays, just because of that silly Tom turkey, because we need to make sure that, especially if we're choosing to use a frozen turkey, that we make that decision, get it home, and make sure that we get it out in time so that it is, in fact, thawed in time to put it in the oven on Thanksgiving morning.
Yes, you can't try to unthaw it an hour before you want to cook it.
And you don't want to unthaw it because that's frozen.
Oh, yes. Thawed. I meant thaw. Okay, she caught me. I'm sorry.
That's my first chance for the whole season to do that to somebody.
Got it.
We always get lots of calls of people trying to unthaw
their turkey. Yes.
But some of the things you might be wondering about. So if you are wanting to make some plans about getting that bird thawed, it takes about 24 hours per 4 to 5 pounds. So if you do the math quick, if you have a 20-pound turkey, that's going to take 4 to 5 days. Mm-hmm. And so you start counting back, depending on how large your turkey is, deciding, how much in advance do I need to get that turkey out. And of course, the best way to thaw it is to put it in the refrigerator. So that also requires you to have either a second refrigerator, like some folks have, or you need to have a refrigerator that actually has room for your turkey, depending on what size it is, and room for it to be in there for several days. If, though, you get to the point where it is the night before Thanksgiving and your turkey still seems like a rock, there are some other options. You can put them in a big tub of water. If you have a real deep sink, you can put your turkey. It needs to be covered by water, and that water needs to be cold and needs to be changed intermittently to make sure it does stay cold. And you'll probably notice I'm not saying to put the turkey out on the counter to thaw. We do need to make sure that it does remain in a cool place so that we don't have issues with foodborne illnesses later on, because that's the last thing that the Thanksgiving cook wants to find out about later on. So the water process can speed up that thawing if you need to do that last minute part. Mm-hmm. A couple of things that have changed maybe when once your turkey is thawed and you want to take it out and get it ready for roasting or baking. You want to make sure that we used to say that you'd wash the turkey. And really now we're telling folks not to worry about washing the turkey, because, in fact, what happens when you wash that turkey is that we all know that there are, because it's raw meat, we know that there are organisms on the exterior of that turkey. And when you start washing it, you start spreading that all over your kitchen. And knowing that you are in the next day or so, you're going to be preparing other things that aren't going to be cooked, that you can have some cross-contamination. It's really just better off to take the outer wrappings out. Make sure you take the stuff out of the inside.
Guilty.
Yeah, I think everybody has been that cook when they've been pulling the turkey out or carving or pulling the stuffing out, and they find surprises.
I know. I'm like, what's this bag for?
So yes, make sure you fully clean it out. And sometimes there's 2 bags. Sometimes there's you really have to look. And if your bird isn't totally thawed, sometimes they can even be more difficult to find because they're still frozen to the inside cavity. And so you really do have to look around quite a bit in order to make sure you get everything out of there. Then when you get when you're getting your turkey ready to roast, roasting bags are a great way to maintain that nice juicy turkey. So if you would choose to use a roasting bag, make sure you follow the directions for that particular product. And a lot of times using a roasting bag will ensure that your bird will probably get done a little bit earlier. So do follow the guidelines that they have. We don't recommend having a lower oven than 325 anytime you're cooking meat. And so if you see some master chefs on TV and they're talking about lower temperatures than that, please disregard, because 325 is really the lowest that USDA recommends to roast a turkey. So no roasting a turkey overnight and so on. When is that turkey done? Well, if you have one of those little pop-up things, that's great. And like I say, that's usually when it pops up, that's your cue to go test the temperature. It's not your cue to say it's done. That is just a kind of a reminder that, we could be getting close, but you really do need to use a meat thermometer. And the thermometer should be placed in the thickest part of the thigh or the breast. And you want to make sure that it reads 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And then once you've reached that temperature, you want to make sure you give your turkey time to rest. Now you think,
is it tired?
I know he's been. I was going to say, he's been laying in the oven for a few hours, and now he needs time to rest. Yeah. So yes, take him out and give him 20 minutes or so to rest before you start carving. Otherwise, what you might find is you'll be, making your slices into that wonderful meat, and you'll be saying to yourself, wow, look how juicy this is, because all these juices are just flowing. And that's exactly what's going to happen, is all of them are going to flow out of your meat, and then your meat's going to be dry. So give your turkey a chance to rest, absorb those juices more, so that as you carve, you don't lose all that great flavor and juiciness. I do recommend when you're carving to make sure you're using some type of a carving board that does have a well or a way to catch those juices, because you will be losing some. And of course, you might want to use that juice to make gravy or to make other things. So make sure you keep that handy so you don't lose all that. Now, the other question I always get too is about stuffing, whether to stuff the turkey or not. A lot of people, I think, have their mind made up about how they like that, and either one is okay. You just need to make sure that you keep in mind that if you're going to stuff the turkey, you don't want to stuff it too tight. You want to make sure that that air can flow through there, and that the stuffing can actually get done like it needs to. And so if you are stuffing that turkey, you also need to check the temperature of the stuffing to make sure that has reached an internal temperature too of 165. The other thing with stuffing a bird, you want to make sure you stuff it right before you put it in the oven. You don't want to stuff it the night before. And that's just because you have an opportunity. You've added, we already talked about there can be organisms on this raw meat. And then when you add stuffing into that, it's just you're adding one more element that can cause some growth overnight, and so it's better just to leave it unstuffed and then do it right before you put it in the oven. Another good reason not to stuff it is that as your stuffing is in that turkey, it is absorbing the fat and the juices that may run off your bird normally. And so your stuffing becomes very, very much more fatty than it could be or maybe should be. And I suppose that is probably the reason why some people like that, is because it becomes a very flavorful and flavor-rich stuffing. But it's healthier to put it in a dish separate if you can. And we'll be talking about leftovers in a little bit and a few other ways to make your Thanksgiving healthy, but we have time to take a break right now, and we'll be back with the Extension Connection.
Right now, 30.
Super Talk 1270. On the go and wherever you are at supertalk1270.com.
And welcome back to the Extension Connection. This is Vanessa Hoynes with the Morton County Extension Office, and I'm joined by Jackie Buckley. And actually, Carla Mickle just flew off and is heading up to 4-H camp.
Yep.
So if you're on the road, be careful. No.
Because
Carla's on the road.
Carla's on the road, especially if she's driving a Dodge today.
Yeah, you never know. We can talk like this because we know she's not listening.
Yeah.
She's not listening, I'm sure. So we were talking about turkey, and we're getting to the point where probably wanting to talk a little bit about leftovers. A lot of times sometimes I think we even plan to buy a bigger turkey than we know we're going to eat because we like those turkey leftovers. I know I do.
I always do.
Yeah.
Buy a bigger one because I like the leftovers.
It's nice to have them. And so, once you've carved your turkey, you want to make sure that you do take care of those leftovers once your meal is done. Get them into a cool environment in refrigerators and so on. Those leftovers should always be stored in containers that are no deeper than 2 inches, or having the food be no deeper than 2 inches to make sure that they do cool off. And then leftovers like turkey, stuffing, gravy should be used within 3 to 4 days. And if you don't think you're going to be able to eat all that turkey within that time or any of those things, always, freezing part of that is a good idea. And the sooner you freeze it, the better the quality will be. Obviously you can wait till the 3rd day and freeze it, but then you've already used up some of that freshness. And so making sure that you take care of those things right away. You don't need to let them sit out on the table or on the counter until they cool. That's kind of an old wives' tale.
Yeah.
You really need
I know
to.
A lot of people do that, though.
I know they do. And I know part of it, too, is just that it's nice to sit and visit with people. But, if you can hurry and get those things put away as soon as you can, and then have some time to visit with the rest of your family at that point afterwards. When you're going to reheat those leftovers, make sure you're reheating them to 165 degrees. And especially gravy, if you're going to reheat that, make sure you bring that to a boil. Now, on Thanksgiving Day, I will not be in the office. And so if you run into an issue and you need to talk to somebody, who do you call? Not Ghostbusters. It's more like the Turkey Busters. You can call the Meat and Poultry Hotline at USDA, and that number is 1-888-674-6854. And if you didn't catch that, I do have that on our website, and we'll be sending out a note on Facebook also so that you can find that. So if you run into a problem, have a question on Thanksgiving Day, you're welcome to give them a call. Up to that point, you can sure give us a call in the Morton County office, and we'd be happy to help you out. Now that we got the meal taken care of, thinking about what other things are happening at Thanksgiving is people are also beginning to worry about maybe maintaining their weight over the holidays. And I did an activity just a couple days ago with another group that I was meeting with. And we talked about, how much fat do we eat in a normal Thanksgiving meal?
A lot.
A lot, yes. And I figured it out and added everything up. And I'll just give you a few of them to give you an idea. Like, for example, having 4 ounces of turkey, if you have half of that be dark meat and half of it be white meat, you're probably talking about 3 teaspoons of fat with just that one serving. And a lot of folks probably have more than that amount of turkey. If you're a family that has 2 meats, if you add ham, a 4.5 ounce serving of ham is probably going to give you about 5 teaspoons of fat. Stuffing is going to be a little bit less on that, but of course, if you put it in the bird, it'll be a little bit higher in fat. So a half a cup of stuffing is about 3/4 of a teaspoon of fat. And now I like to say, who eats only a half a cup of stuffing?
Not me.
Not me either. So there you go. So this is a very modest amount that I'm putting together. Candied yams, of course, if you make the yams with all the added butter and all those things, about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Then, of course, the vegetable tray, no harm, no foul. That's good. But then if you have to have some dip.
But what happens if you put peanut butter in the celery
all those
cream cheese?
Mm-hmm. All those things add up. Or ranch, 2 tablespoons of ranch dip is 3.5 teaspoons of fat. Even olives, 5 green olives is about a half a teaspoon of fat. 5 black olives is about 3/4 of a teaspoon. But, if you like something pickled like that, putting pickles don't have any fat. So that's one way where you can save, too. Mashed potatoes, of course, we make them a lot of times with butter and milk and cream and all those kinds of things. So you get a little bit of fat there, but the real clincher is that gravy. 3.5 teaspoons and a half a cup of gravy. And there again, Does the gravy only go on the mashed potatoes?
Heavens no.
Heavens no. It goes on the stuffing. It goes on the turkey. It goes on everything.
It might go on your bun.
It might go on your bun. Yeah, I know. It kind of goes all over. It's just kind of like over the whole plate. Cranberries. They're a good deal. No fat in cranberries. Then, of course, we have to make that green bean casserole, right? You know, we can't just have nice steamed green beans or asparagus or something like that. We have to add that sauce and other things. So there you get another 3.5 teaspoons on those nice green beans. Croissants or butter rolls you were talking about again, even without putting the butter on them, 3 teaspoons of extra fat. Eggnog. Some folks like to have eggnog at Thanksgiving. 4 3/4 teaspoons and just a cup of eggnog. And then last but not least, pecan pie. Lots of folks like pecan pie. 5.5 teaspoons of fat. And then, of course, if you add some ice cream, because what would pecan pie be without ice cream? Another 1 3/4 teaspoons. So if you add all those up, and as we said, those are really modest amounts. I mean, I think a lot of us probably have more than that. It adds up to 43.5 teaspoons of fat in one meal, which if you figure that out to grams of fat, it's 217 grams of fat in one meal. A lot of us probably should be around that 45 to 50 grams a day.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's quite an undertaking. And obviously there are ways to diminish that a little bit, to make sure that if you're going to have, some things that we might have out there would be, for instance, the mashed potatoes, you could add some mashed cauliflower to that, make them a little healthier. Stuffing, making more of a portion control with stuffing. You could put stuffing into muffin tins and then have just that as your serving of stuffing as a reminder. The sweet potatoes, we really don't need to have the marshmallows, the butter, and all those things. We could just have nice grilled or roasted sweet potatoes. And as I mentioned before, instead of the green bean casserole, we could have just nice steamed green beans, steamed asparagus, steamed broccoli, all those kinds of things. Instead of having those cheese and crackers out for people to eat, maybe having a vegetable tray or a fruit tray, and then swapping out those olives for pickles, and maybe not even worrying about dip so much, or choosing to make a dip that has a base of Greek yogurt. So it's not so full of fat, but actually is full of some good protein and good nutrition for us. How about that marshmallow fruit salad that you might always have? Instead of that, start the meal off with a nice spinach, a leafy type of salad with strawberries and a light vinaigrette, which starting out with a leafy salad always helps to kind of get us started, get us filled up a little bit before we get to the real heavy food. And then last but not least, instead of that pumpkin pie, perhaps having, instead of the pecan pie, have that pumpkin pie. Anytime you have a pie that is one crust, the pumpkin is a custard, so that is lower in fat again too. Any 2-crust pie is going to be, in there about 5 teaspoons, but it won't be as high as pecan. And you can also do like a crustless pumpkin pie. Mm-hmm. And I do have a crustless pumpkin pie that's on our website and will be out there on Facebook also. So take a look at that if you really like that pumpkin, if that's a nice way to end your meal, but you don't want to have that extra fat that you get in the crust. That's a good way to go. Or even having, I'm also sharing a recipe for pumpkin bread pudding, which can also be a lower fat option and a different way to have something that will be a treat for Thanksgiving. So any kind of favorites that you have for Thanksgiving, Jackie?
Well, I don't really have, I like it all.
I know.
And I like pumpkin pie, and there's lots of times, even though if I bake the the pie in with the crust, and lots of times I won't eat the crust. I'll just scrape it out.
I know. That's what my son does. I could just as well make him a crustless pumpkin pie because he loves pumpkin pie, but he just scrapes everything off and leaves, as far as I'm concerned, leaves the best part.
And I guess I add some more fat to my pumpkin pie because I put a cream cheese thing on the bottom, which really makes it a little bit richer. But, I guess just when we have pie, we have it later. And we always cut the pieces in very small pieces.
Right.
And so you don't actually get probably the normal serving size of a piece of pie.
And that's a good way to go. No matter what it is, if you can cut the serving size, that helps you out. You feel better, and you don't also get that, you don't keep adding to that grand total of calories and fat throughout the day.
One thing you didn't mention, Vanessa, was the deal about why you're so sleepy after you eat all that turkey.
Yeah, the tryptophan.
Yes.
Yep. And so it's not just that you ate a whole bunch. There's a real reason why we're all sleepy and can hardly stay awake to watch the football games.
Yes, and there will be football games, of course, on that day as well. So, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But I really enjoy, and I'm cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and so I'm gonna have my family home, and it's
and that's
fun.
what it needs to be. You need to keep some of those traditions. So, I'm not a big fan of changing everything up, but if you can find those little things that won't change the experience for your family, but will keep everybody healthier, that's always a good way to go too. So everybody, hopefully, that will have a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, and hopefully the weather's going to be good. And if you're traveling out there, it sounds like it's going to be, of course, it always is the biggest travel day or weekend in the year. So, and then you got to get ready for the next day because it's Black Friday.
Yes.
Yep.
And so I think with that, Jim's wanting us to go to a break, so we'll be back. And Jackie has some programs coming up that she'll share. We'll be back with the Extension Connection.
Right now, 36.
The Conspiracy Show, Handel on the Law, and The Tech Guy. Weekends on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to the Extension Connection. This is Jackie Buckley, and I have Vanessa Hoynes with me as well, the Morton County staff. And before the break, we were talking about turkey, and as we always do right before Thanksgiving, and so we're all excited for that big holiday.
Yeah.
I just like to remind producers out there that might be listening that we still have room if you're interested in attending the Sustainability and Stockmanship meeting that's being held at Kiss Livestock tomorrow, Thursday, November 19th at 9:30 a.m. And we're going to be talking about profitability in the beef business. And we're going to start off the program about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to be visiting with producers about syringe protocol and handling. And then we're going to have Tim Petrie, who is our Extension Livestock ag economist, that will be talking about the beef market update. And then what do we need to make the cow-calf business work? John Duvetter, who's the area livestock specialist out of Minot. And John will be discussing that, and we're going to kind of be unveiling, if you haven't seen it, a new spreadsheet that Skip Taylor has developed with the NDSU Extension Service to talk about how to plug in those numbers on an Excel spreadsheet to try and figure out how you can save some money. And if you're interested in that, you sure can make sure that you attend that.
I'm sure the producers' hearts are all aflutter.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. And then, of course, we'll have noon lunch. And then we're very excited to have Kurt Pate here. Kurt is from Rygate, Montana. And Kurt, for the last decade, has been conducting demonstrations and clinics on stockmanship, actually on horse starting, colt starting, horsemanship, and also livestock safety. He has a lot of personal experience incorporating effective stockmanship principles and supports for profit mindset and focuses on highlighting the increased economic benefits of handling stock correctly. In addition, Kurt recognized the growing public scrutiny surrounding livestock production and the impact that improved livestock handling practices create for the sustainability of the cattle industry. And so Kurt will have a talk, and then we will have some cattle on hand at Kiss Livestock, and he will be doing a cattle handling demonstration as well. So it'll be pretty hands-on. Mm-hmm. And then lastly for the day will be Dr. Jerry Stucca. And Jerry is our extension veterinarian and livestock stewardship extension specialist. Jerry currently lives in the Griggs County area, and he also has cattle, and so he has some real practical experience. And Dr. Stucca will be visiting about the Veterinary Feed Directive, which is a new law that is going to be coming into effect. And basically what the Veterinary Feed Directive is, if you haven't heard about it, is producers are going to have to get a prescription from their local veterinarian to buy certain antibiotics. Some of them may be the kind that you inject, or it could be some of the things that you feed, like the Aeromycin pellets or crumbles that you feed as a antibiotic in your beef. And so we've had a lot of news and a lot of controversy the last few weeks about antibiotics in meat. And so Jerry will talk about that, and we can visit about, we'll be visiting about that. And so the cost for the meal, for the day is $40 per person, and this will include all the handouts, breaks, and the noon meal. And so we would encourage you to attend. In addition, there will be an opportunity that you will receive your beef quality assurance certification or recertification that day as well. And that Lisa Peterson will be handling. And that will be $15 per operation if you're interested in that. And so once again, there is a workshop today if anybody's listening in the Linton area that wants to get there before lunch. And hurry. And then you would also have the opportunity to see Kurt Pate in the afternoon, but they're in Linton today at Linton Livestock. And then tomorrow we'll have it here in Mandan at Kiss Livestock starting at 9:30 in the morning. And so we still have room for registrants if you'd like to attend. Another thing that we are planning, and Vanessa you can sure chirp in with this because we're going to be doing this together. And we're going to be doing it actually with Burleigh County staff as well. And the topic of this is designing your succession plan. It's a succession planning workshop for farm and ranch families. And we will talk about business planning, retirement planning, transition planning, and then also a bit on estate planning. And we have set the dates for this for January 14th, 19th, and 21st. And so it's a series.
It's a series,
so
yes. You want to come all 3 nights.
Yes, you want to come all 3 nights. Tentatively for right now, we believe that it's going to be held at Bismarck State College at the Bismarck Career Academy. So we'll be working with Mark Holcup on that, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. And so this program is for families interested in shaping the future ownership of the family farm or ranch, the family legacy, whether that is transferring a viable business to the next generation or determining how to divide family ranch assets. Even if you've attended, other transition, estate, or succession planning classes, consider attending this program to get a start on your succession plan. And so we're planning on that, and they'll get a 3-ring binder
and kind of a workbook that they're going to be able to work through and just help give you step-by-step kind of as you go through the process. And we'll also be talking about maybe having some of those really tough discussions within the family and communication and how to even approach that subject, whether it's no matter what generation it is, whether you're the generation that's going to pass things down or if it's the generation that's waiting for somebody to make a decision. I think it's appropriate for both. Either, it's a good idea to get that discussion started.
Yes, and we really would like to encourage, if you have multi-generational people working or living I should say, on your farm, that everybody should come.
Yeah, it's really a good opportunity to have everybody hear the same information at the same time, so it's not one facet bringing the information back and making it feel like it's I've already decided and this is what it is.
And we've taught some transition planning workshops in the past, and this one has been a little bit revamped. And if the people attending would like some additional time, I guess we could add another day to maybe have an attorney come in and visit or things like that. Well, Extension isn't in the business to plan your transition planning, but we want to coach you through it, kind of.
Right, and give you, sometimes it's just a matter of who do I even start with, and so we'll give you some ideas of choosing professionals. And actually, that will be the last night where we'll talk about what types of professionals to get involved with you as you're developing your plan. And I think we are going to invite a professional to come in, whether it's an attorney or an accountant, to help answer some of those more specific kinds of questions, right, that we don't delve into.
Right. And, we really want people, communication is the biggest thing probably that you need to think about, and communicating with you and your spouse, maybe it's grandparents, or you have your son or daughter that might be involved. And
and I think we all know of families where, unfortunately, the farm has survived, but the family hasn't. Or vice versa. I mean, we don't want either one. It should be an opportunity to be able to pass the farm down and keep the family intact. And so that is really what the goal of this program is to give people the tools so that they can have it be a transition that includes everybody. And hopefully, I mean, it might not be perfect all the time, but at least to give you the tools to give it a shot.
Yep. And once again, those dates are January 14th, 19th, and 21st. And you can contact the Morton County office at 667-3340 or the Burleigh County Extension office at 221-6865 for more information, and we can get you registered for that. Just a little bit about some of you are thinking about or have weaned some calves. And Rory Burris from University of Kentucky is an extension beef professor, has given us like 5 tips about training those calves and when feeding calves this fall. Add roughage to limit feeding. If using a self-feeder, Burris recommends using roughage to limit feed intake to the desired levels. Adding roughage will dilute out energy content so the calves aren't likely to overeat and founder. Don't forget about the salt, he says. Salt can be used as a limiter to cut back on dry matter intake or prevent founder or acidosis. Increase intake gradually. Whether you're starting wean calves on a ration or finishing our fat cattle, the ration should be increased gradually to avoid founder. Bunk management is key. Pay attention to your self-feeders and double check that feed is flowing down properly. Every time you have a blowing rain, the feed is in the trough portion, or the feeder will get wet and should be removed. If not, mold will occur and feed may cake up and cattle won't eat it. It also won't allow feed to flow downward. Pay close attention to self-feeders. Burris also says that coarse cut stalks or in silage or feed has been rained on or in the bunk should be removed before it molds. Lastly, water is the most important feeding tool. Burris reminds producers to check automatic waterers frequently. Feed particles and manure can sour the water, so cleaning it out regularly is incredibly important. Be sure that calves have an abundant source of clean, fresh water for best performance. And we will be back with the Extension Connection in 2 weeks. And remind you for the beef meeting tomorrow at New Salem, at Kiss Livestock. And then we also have another football game. The last one of the season is Saturday. The Bison play Missouri State, I believe.
Yeah.
And so we'll hope
ABC
that
News,
they win.
Super Talk
and
1270.
The road
Accurate
to Texas
news,
will go through
stimulating
Fargo
talk.
once again.
This
Yeah,
is
sounds
KLXX
good. Go Bison.
Yep, go
Mandan,
Bison.
Bismarck.